If you listen to a radio station or if you listen to music or whatever, you want the human element to it. Whereas if you can get an AI now doing exactly the same thing, which is indistinguishable, and it's a lot cheaper and all that sort of stuff, are people going to care? Well, they just want the cheapest product. So I don't know where it's going to go, but I think for artists and stuff, yeah, it will be. I feel sorry for them because all their work. You can go to Midjourney and type, do it in the style of this artist who's alive, and then you can get an exactly replica of what they create, and they get nothing for it.
I think that the biggest thing that you've helped me understand and realize is that there's really no excuses for anyone anymore. If you do one basic thing really, really, really well, you can just change your life.
With us, we're trying to be as transparent as possible so that the prospect who comes to us knows exactly what they're getting in for. We don't want to try and hide anything. So for us, that's how we work with franchising. There's a lot of lack of trust in franchising.
Joel, thank you so much for hosting Cos and I the second time around. It seems like you've gone headfirst into the land of AI. And in today's podcast, I really just want to touch on your story through the Jim's group and actually where you think AI is heading. And we know you've done an amazing job to grow the Jim's group, approximately from 3,600 franchisees all the way past 5,500 in just under 4 years. That's a whopping 52% increase. It's amazing. My first question for you is what actually got you inspired, when in your earlier career at Jim's to actually go ahead and get this done?
Well, back in 2019, I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I was doing law commerce with uni. And back in 2019, we had I was getting a little bit into Gary Vee and stuff, and it wasn't in my area, but I started sort of pointing out things to Jim about websites and stuff that I'm learning online from people, and started pointing things out with what we were doing. And it was never my area. Then Jim saw that initiative and sort of just pushed me a bit more into it, encouraging me to do it. And then back in 2019, this is sort of the moment that sort of shifted everything. Was there was a video that come out from Stepmates. It's on YouTube still. It's got around 3 million views. And it was basically not making fun of Jim's, but Jim's does everything. If you look it up, you'll see it's like Jim's mowing, Jim's crypto, Jim's wife. She goes, all right, all that sort of stuff. Right? And it went mega viral. And we're getting calls, and Jim and the other person at the time in the business was going, they didn't know how to react to it. And then they were going, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? And they were trying to shut it down and get it removed from the internet. I said, no, what are you talking about? I said, it's had nearly 1 million views about promoting Jim's mowing, Jim's this, Jim's this. It's a bit of a parody and all that sort of stuff. And I think from then, he sort of consulted with me a bit more about, videos and social media and stuff like that. And then I started, they wanted to actually get that video shut down. So we actually called the producers at Stepmates. So Stepmates do all the One Nation stuff that you see online. And they were trying to explain to Jim, no, we can't take it down and edit it. We'll lose this engagement. And then from there, I sort of thought, well, how powerful and loved is Jim's Online, this viral video, which is a bit of a fun thing, which you can still see, had all this reach organically, and we didn't even have to do anything. Why don't we start doing this sort of social media stuff for ourselves? So we didn't really take it seriously. And then we had a Facebook page for Jim's Group, which was outsourced at the time to another agency. Maybe had 100 followers or something like that. Nothing was done with Instagram, nothing like that in 2019. And basically just started listening to a bunch of Gary Vee and then basically applying what he was saying to Jim's Group. So all the stuff that you hear with Jim talking with you on the podcast and see online now, I used to hear that all the time internally, but there was no vehicle at all to push that online. So what happens is I actually hired his brother and not his brother, his son and his mate to do a video of Jim, which back then was pretty expensive. These are really expensive videos to do an interview about his business journey and stuff, which you can still see online. It was received really well, and we sort of dabbled in a little bit more. And then the Facebook page, I started doing it, and then Gary Vee was saying go live, go live, go live. So I thought we'll do why not do a quick Q&A with Jim about, where'd the beard go? Is that really Jim? All these questions that we get all the time that people want answered. And we go, right, we're going to go live on the Facebook page for half an hour on this night. You can actually still see it on YouTube. It's quite awkward. We sat in front of the webcam, and me and Jim are just answering questions from people on Facebook about, is that really Jim? What happened to the beard? This and that, all the stuff that we get all the time. And it got received really well because people didn't go, geez, they didn't know that Jim was like that, because Jim externally is to people, it's not to me, but can be quite intimidating, like this really big, successful businessman. People were really scared of him sometimes. So they saw it and they go, geez, you've done well to, they said, humanize him. And I said, well, it's stuff that I hear all the time. And then we had people who were watching it and they basically said, oh, can you do more of it? Because, we want to send it to our prospects to watch and all that sort of stuff. And then we did it the next week again, then we did it the week after it again. And we had people watching it and then coming into training and say, oh yeah, I saw you on Ask Jim, or watching Ask Jim, you answered my question. That's why I'm here. Jim's going, right, that activity of doing that I'm actually getting franchisees becoming franchisees from doing this social media content. Then from there, it was just basically, Joel, I want you to do videos every day, hire 2 videographers or hire a videographer full-time, and away you go. And we had Jake and Ben back in the day. And that's what we did. And then just learn on the go. So our early stuff back in 2019, if I look back at it now, quite cringe, but to where it is now. But that was pretty much it. He saw a tangible result from doing organic social media or the live video. And then basically it just kept getting told that's what's happening with what we're doing. Franchisors loved it as well, because it's like we're marketing for them on their behalf and they're getting sales from an activity that Jim's doing. So that was where it sort of started.
What sort of content schedule are you guys running, out of curiosity?
Now?
Yeah.
I try and post every 3 to 4 hours on multiple platforms, short form video. Mix of images and text and background images and stuff. But the lifetime of a post on different platforms is different, as you know. If you get a viral video, for example, that's short form, that thing can go around for 3 to 4 weeks and you'll keep getting engagement and stuff from it. But we post 3 to 4 times a day. And the reason why I do that is because we've got 50 divisions. Now, if I limited it to 1 post, which some people might say back in the day, 1 post per day, you can't promote the divisions that you need to promote if you're only doing that schedule. So I post a lot all the time, because that one thing that takes off might be the thing you don't expect. So every 3 to 4 hours, I'm trying to post on Facebook and Instagram. TikTok would be every 3 to 4 hours. LinkedIn, we post twice a day. And then I have Jim's personal accounts, which I post on multiple times a day as well.
Yeah. That's...
How would an average business owner, how can they benefit from this? What sort of content schedule can they implement for their business how can they use it effectively?
Yeah. So I'd pick a channel. I'd pick one channel to start as a business owner. If a business owner is going to be doing content themselves, pick a channel where they think their audience is or customer, one channel, and then try and post at least once a day. So for example, if you think your customer is on TikTok, for example, TikTok's probably the easiest to grow doing short form video. You might want to post 3 to 4 times a day, every day. If you're on LinkedIn, you might want to post 1 time a day, then commit some time to engagement. So you got to pick the platform and then tailor your schedule to that as a business owner.
Yeah. And in terms of actually the point that you saw this becoming successful, what was the experience like for you within the actual office? People obviously, this, as you said, this wasn't actually happening prior to you.
Yeah.
What was the atmosphere like, and how did that change things, and how did you progress it within gyms?
It's pretty nice. The franchisors were really surprised, because obviously, the comment they used to say was it humanises gyms, because they deal with Jim from email primarily. It might not be the nicest thing sometimes. So humanise him, but it was helping them get sales, which was really rewarding, because national, in franchising in general, there's always beef between the head office franchisor and franchisees and there's always this sort of there's always this attention all the time. It's just franchising and relationships, right? So this was a really positive thing that National was doing for franchisors and for franchisees in turn. So sort of build the relationship gap a bit as well. Yeah. So it was a great thing to do in terms of us giving back, because they're paying us fees every month, right? What do I get for the fees, all right?
Exactly.
So this service was something that was an issue they don't have to do anything with, and yet they're benefiting from National office. So that's probably been the key to our growth, is that franchisors, in regards to they have to recruit and market for franchisees, whereas we're creating all the content and all the brand awareness, which is actually getting you prospects coming to you. You don't even have to do anything about it. So that's where it was a really good thing. And in regards to that, it was working. It just gave me more sort of, I guess, authority to do more initiatives. And Jim's pretty good. He just gives me free reign to do what I like. And we made a lot of mistakes as well. But it got to a point like this Ask Jim thing that we do. It's now like a live show. Like every 3 weeks in training, we have 80 to 60 franchisees. There's a live audience. They're coming up and asking Jim questions in a 60-minute form, which is pretty cool. It's really unique. But we used to do that every week for 3.5 years, and I think we got sick of each other after every Wednesday night we did it, and we had people jumping on. But where it actually became another benefit was during the lockdown. So during the lockdown, franchisees had no idea what was going on, and one of our live streams had 500 live viewers at one stage on Facebook at one time, which is a pretty big number for our page with our following. And it was a really important communication channel. So people every week as a franchisee, they would actually come on and suggest ideas to Jim about the system, or ask him questions which they might not otherwise do via email or other channels, and they get an answer in a live format. So it had other benefits too. But
what was one of those because you said there were some there's a few things that you didn't do quite right, or
I made heaps of mistakes.
What would be something like that that are also just a general business owner should be concerned about as well, like that
Well,
relate to.
yeah, it's a good, like for us anyway, with franchising, like Jim's a straight shooter. He's very, very honest, which is unlike franchising. So franchise brands will put out only what they want you to know. They might not going to tell you the full thing about fees and that. So that was very confronting for franchisors to hear Jim say, yeah, you can just walk away, take your clients. We don't even chase restraint of trade, these sorts of things, right? So that sort of honesty was very, was very hard.
It's crazy, yeah.
Yeah, very, very unlike anything, but people like it, but the franchisors didn't like it. So trying to get the messaging a bit more so we didn't say certain things and
On brand.
yeah, a little bit on brand. But at the end of the day, like it's Jim's system and Jim's telling you exactly how it is. Why should we hide that? So we've always been tried to be as transparent as possible. When we had a big blow up in the media with news.com.au writing like 6 stories on us in like 2 weeks.
I think I saw that one.
Yeah, it's lady just going targeting us. So, most people would just hide from that and do like a single email and this and that. We do just print out the news story, sit there for an hour, podcast and all that.
Chatting about it, yeah.
We had a person in last week who did dog wash. He specifically told me and said, if it wasn't for that video, I wouldn't be here. This is how you guys explained everything.
Yeah.
So the model we try and work on if I'm a business owner, just be radically transparent about what you do. Like if your product is a bit dodgy, like you're not going to put it all out there. That's okay. But with us, we're trying to be as transparent as possible so that the prospect who comes to us knows exactly what they're getting in for. We don't want to try and hide anything. So for us, that's how we work with franchising, because there's a lot of lack of trust in franchising. If you ask the general punter on the street about franchising, they'll say, oh, they take 40% of your money, they do nothing, blah, blah, blah. It'd be more negative than positive, which is why the whole content thing came about as well, because we're sick of seeing in the media, it was Retail Food Group at the time back in 2019, ripping off franchisees all the time, and we get hard with that. So I think the general consensus in the community in Australia anyway is franchises are bad. Franchises are negative, correct? So that's why we do all this content, so we're as transparent as possible, so you can make up your own mind. So that's how we sort of police with it. Yeah.
We'd love to have a chat. Thank you so much for sharing the growth that you guys have experienced. We'd love to chat about your personal life. Like,
sure.
We've seen that you grew up in a foster care.
Yeah.
Can you share about your early childhood and what was the experience like?
Sure, yeah. So I had a single mum with bipolar disorder 1, which means she's more manic than flat. And they tend to get hypomania, which means they do a whole bunch of odd things and all these sorts of stuff. So what happened with that was basically because my mum was one of 11, but she isolated herself in Perth, so we had no family or anyone there. And when she got hospitalised, we had no one to look after her, so we had to go into foster care for 3 or 4 months and all live with friends, families and stuff like that. And then she'd come back out and the cycle repeats itself generally with people with bipolar. And as they get older, that time frame between them staying well and going unwell shrinks. So yeah, I spent a bit of time in foster care and with friends, families and all that sort of stuff as well growing up. And that was just the reality of life and mental illness. A lot of people have bipolar disorder. Some people manage it better than others. My mum's bipolar, she didn't manage it too well at all. And it was quite tough, but it was good. It was a good experience because you become very resilient. You're very resilient. So, yeah.
The interesting thing about what you've mentioned just before and now is that, because I believe you also have a podcast on talking about mental health and things like that as well. So I think the idea that we're talking about here is, basically just sometimes if you want to, grow your business organically, just revealing all, whether it's what people want to see or it's might be confronting for people to hear these sorts of stories, or alternatively, people might be able to relate to those sorts of stories as well. Just actually sharing. So how have you sort of, I feel like maybe you've also been able to, use some of your personal journey through sharing all this content. Like, how do you feel that's sort of impacted you, and how has it driven what you're doing now?
Well, it's been more of a good side project to sort of give back, with that podcast. I don't do it as consistently as I like.
Sure.
It can be very challenging as well because you're listening to it really. Generally, my podcast is not the wishy-washy sort of mental health influencer stuff you'll see online now. It's very, you're talking about schizophrenia and bipolar and a lot of stuff like that. It can be very deep and challenging. But it's therapeutic as well talking about it. But what I did, the reason why I did it because I did a video back in I think it was 2020 with Jim when I told him my story. And I posted on my own personal Facebook and I had people just messaging me out of the blue from school and all sort of stuff. I didn't know this and that, and I'll thank me. And I was like, geez. So there's a big appetite for that sort of content. And it's good that you see a lot of it online now. Yeah. But I think it's easier to talk to strangers, I guess, in a way, when you're putting it out there to strangers than to people you know. So I've never had a problem with that as well. But I think the response that I got from it was really positive. So that's why I kept doing it. And then because the stories we were talking about weren't something that you will hear, most of the mental health podcasts focus on depression and anxiety, OCD. And it's the same thing over and over and over again, or sporting stars talking about stuff, or influencers talking about their depression challenges. You never really hear foster care or bipolar or schizophrenia, or someone's had multiple suicides in their family. So those are the sort of real stories that I like to share. And then, and people who come on as guests as well feel as though they'd be heard. Sort of helps them in a way. There's a lot of people who have some pretty full-on stories who I've interviewed, and they just want someone to listen to them, or to at least get it down and have it documented. So it's an easy thing for me to do. I need to get back to being a little bit more consistently with it as well. But
yeah, thank you so much for the vulnerability. As not many people are willing to openly talk about it. And the reason why I kind of dove into that question as well is you've obviously gone from that to now a CMO of Gym's Group, Australia's fastest, largest franchise. And you build yourself up and you got like that dream career. And each time we see you, you're smiling. You're generally excited about the work that you do, and you're passionate about it. But a lot of men, not only in Australia, across the whole world, they're kind of trapped in a career path that they're not seeing themselves in it, or like they're just like frustrated with the amount of money they're making, or they just don't, like, they're stuck, right? Like if you get a mortgage, get a house, and then like you're in a career path, like you can't really do anything. Can you share like a little bit like process how you been able to grow through the company, and what sort of general advice you have to those men that want to do bigger things and more exciting things out of their lives?
Well, for the company, it's just using initiative. Jim loves initiative and people who show initiative. So it's literally just basically demonstrating how we can do things better and proposing solutions, and some of those solutions would work. And that was pretty much it from a company structure. But I reckon I'm like those people you're talking about as well. Like I'm an employee, so you guys are business owners. So I've got a lot more respect for business owners and people stuck in the corporate rat race like me.
You had no choice.
You had no choice. But I got a lot of weight, but like, for me, like I'd love to be doing what you're doing. So look, I'm very lucky, with Jim. I've been with here probably for 14 years, so I've got to know him pretty well over 14 years. And the key to him, as when you've met him, is he just trusts people to do. And if he sees someone who's got a bit of initiative, then he will just push them, and that's what he wants in the company. If you've got a company with 80 people and you've got 10 people who are using initiative, it's really easy to get somewhere. So in Jim's, it's like that as well. You've got people who just want to come and do a 9 to 5, and people who want to stay long and use initiative and speak up and that. But regards to where if people are in the corporate and not happy where they are, end of the day, you were forced into doing what you're doing, and you've made a success of it as well. I think end of the day, if you want it bad enough, you'll do something about it. So if those corporate people want to start their own business or franchise or whatever it is, they'll make the decision to do something about it. If they don't, then they don't want it bad enough, do they? So I think everyone's capable of making a change to do what you guys have done. It's just on the person. So I think we use excuses like mortgage and family. It's all an excuse. If you want to make it work and you want it bad enough, you can. It's just how bad you want it.
Yeah, because the way I look at it, like people in C-suite roles, is that you're almost running your own business as well.
Yeah, 100%.
Because I know what you've just said is, we're business owners, but I also look at it, that you're your own business owner as well, because like at the end of the day, you're right at the top, and people, you sort of,
Well, you treat it like your business. I think it's the key. If you have staff, like I treat it like it's, even though it's Jim's business, I treat what I'm doing like it's mine, right? So, cool. And that's what you want in people. But yeah, you're right. You do a lot of sweet, put in a hell of a lot of work and hours for what they do, and you just think if they applied it to themselves for their own venture, what they could do. But there's a lot of people who don't have confidence as well. They have those doubts.
Yeah.
I saw you playing guitar really well.
Yep.
Do you have any other hobbies, or what is sort of like what do you do to kind of distress from work? Like that's something that as business owners and you as well, like a lot of pressures and like different things you need to do. How do you balance like your work life?
It's funny, I sort of don't. My wife would tell you I don't. I go back home and I do more work, or I'll work on some side things I'm trying to get going. But no, guitar's a good one because you can put on a metronome and you can just practice an exercise for half an hour and you just focus on that, and it's like meditation in a way. So you're just listening to a metronome and just doing the same thing over and over and over, and you go into a meditative state, I guess, in a way. But guitar's one. I also coach men's soccer as well, so that's always a good thing to do. But yeah, my life's pretty busy at the moment. I don't have a really good work-life balance, to be honest. So
that's interesting. You're doing a lot of things.
I am. I'm doing too many things.
You know, you're doing a lot of things, and
I'm working. Like,
I mean,
all days long. Like, it's just fine.
Yeah, I actually mean to ask this question, but Cos actually introduced. I was doing many things when we actually linked up, and Cos really taught me, if you do one basic thing really, really, really well, you can just change your life.
Yep.
You know, and a question for you is, do you sometimes find, like, with all this AI and with what you're doing, do you sometimes have maybe shiny object syndrome, that you want a bit of that?
Oh yeah,
this.
Oh yeah. I'm a generalist. I know a little bit about a lot of things, but the AI now is just making that worse, because every day you see a new tool on TikTok or something on LinkedIn, and you sort of go down the rabbit hole with that. So yeah, it's going to get worse with everything that's coming out. You know, you see a lot of people making money with Replit apps and all these things, and think, gee whiz, we should put a bit of time in there. But you're right, you should just get really good at one thing and be a specialist in that. It's probably the way to go.
How have you guys been able to implement AI in your business? I mean, across all of the franchisees, you do a lot of like inbound calling and like texting and confirmations.
Yeah.
Being able to trying to outsource it.
Yeah, it's a good question.
Place it.
And it's a good question. It's something Jim and I talked about a lot last week with the quoting process. So I think in the quoting process, we want to do that. But in regards to the call center and stuff, I get pitched a lot of the call stuff via things, and we do show it to Jim, and he doesn't think it's there yet, and I don't think it's there yet. There's too many pauses, and you can still tell it's AI. Like, it's like Australia with us, like, we've got our local people port at the call center. Like, it's very hard to replicate that on the phone, and people love calling us for that reason. In regards to the text messaging and stuff, we've got Jim's Jobs, which he's developing at the moment. I presume the next step will be working out AI integrations for that. The thing I really want to do is the quoting side of it. You know, our guys have to drive to a quote, and then, you know, they might not get the quote or whatever. Yeah. So eliminating that need for a quote, whether you send the customer can send a link on their phone to do a video walkthrough of the job, and that can go to the franchisee, these sorts of things, and then they get an estimate price based on what the franchisee's previous quotes are from their system of things that we want to do. In regards to the AI, the way we do it in gyms at the moment is we do a training every 3 or 4 weeks. We just give a brief introduction to ChatGPT and LLMs, and then basically tasks in their business that they can potentially do with it. And what I do is I show them around 5 or 6 prompts. Create a newsletter for your customers, create a 30-day social media plan, a scheduling sheet, how to reorganize your schedule based on what's the quickest route. And we show them these things just to get the juices flowing. Then we also have an internal intranet where I have these prompts, and I have walkthroughs of how to use various AI tools, which they can access as well. I mean, I did it when we do like a masterclass occasionally for franchisors to show them how to use it in their business. But it's amazing how we think it's so obvious to use, and it's not obvious to everyone. And that's the thing. We're in a really, really early phase now as well. And when you're on LinkedIn and stuff and you follow AI people and you get served AI content all day, you think, all right, everyone's using AI and that sort of stuff. And
that's not like
you talk to the average punter.
Yeah.
They've got no idea. And you watch some of their faces, you got 120 or 130 people, and you watch some of their faces with ChatGPT for the ones who don't put their hand up, you say they use it. And it's like they're watching. You blow their mind.
I would slow down, because your LinkedIn videos, you're going,
yeah, I know. I need to slow down. It's really bad. I get that all the time on my feedback forms. But you watch some of the older gentlemen as well, or the older ladies with it, and you just watch their mind just go like this. So yeah, that's how we do it. And we have like a prompt pack for gyms franchisees that we do it as well. But educating their franchisors is with what's possible as well. But the quoting thing's been the exciting thing. So just going out to a job, taking a picture off the side of the wall and getting an estimate off it, and actually asking ChatGPT to turn it into a color red or green. How long would this take me to do as a quote based on this and this and this? And you get a fairly accurate thing from it. It's been quite handy. Planned identification, things like that. Schedule. So a lot of franchisees use diaries still, the manual diaries. So they can take pictures off their manual diaries, put it into ChatGPT. Where should I maximize my time? This sort of thing as well. So that's slowly coming into it as well. And we encourage franchisees, if they do have prompts or use cases they use in their business, to tell us, and then we share it as well.
Where do you see this whole thing going? Because it's honestly pretty crazy. Like, I've seen some of the posts, some of the songs you've created.
Oh, yeah.
With AI. But let's imagine we live in a world like you turn on the radio, it's like an AI song. You turn on the TV, it's a TV show created with AI, and it's actually very amusing. Like, you're laughing, like, it's really funny. Then you hop on a call with, you want to buy a car. Also fully automated with AI, very charismatic, like salesperson.
Yeah.
They walk you through all the options you can take. Everything is AI. What is that for us for humans to do, right? I see a world where all of the stuff is like fully automated, but then the human craftsmanship is actually kind of like skyrocketing in value, because you've got like kind of two levels of art. You've got the AI and you've got like human effort. And the human effort, in my opinion, is going to be considered as a more of a premium, as a more of a luxury experience to kind of like any level of business or experience. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. Yeah, I think it's like even now, like we done some stuff sharing AI on our marketing stuff with some of these videos and stuff, like using a little Jimbo and stuff, and 9 out of 10 comments is positive, and you get the one person saying AI slop, AI this, AI that. So I think when people know that, they've done some studies as well where people know that AI is being used in marketing, it puts them off a bit as well. So I think, being able to tell something AI, if you can hide that fact, or however you're going to hide it with human skill hiding it, making it seem like it's not AI is where it's going to be, where the skill will be. But yeah, you're right. Human creativity will be the premium. You'll probably have companies who market themselves as, we don't use AI for this, or non-AI, or this sort of stuff. You're going to get that sort of terminology going on, like you did with the call centers. So no, we don't, all Australian-based call center, that sort of stuff. I think you're going to have companies, we don't use AI for sales and stuff like that, and people will pay more depending on that as well. I think the where it's going, I think that you look at that Will Smith video of him eating spaghetti to where it is now, the difference in 2 years is quite remarkable. Where it's going to be in another 2 years is going to be quite, people aren't going to know. So there was a radio station in Melbourne that used a AI host for 4 months, going undetected. She did a 4-hour slot as an AI host using 11 labs as a voice, hosted a radio program for 4 months, and no one picked up it was AI until 4 months. So it's sort of already here at the moment. So
Yeah, wow.
yeah, it'd be interesting to see what the consumers react to it, because if you listen to a radio station, or if you listen to music or whatever, you want the human element to it. Whereas if you can get an AI now doing exactly the same thing, which is indistinguishable, and it's a lot cheaper and all that sort of stuff, are people going to care? Well, they just want the cheapest product. So I don't know where it's going to go, but I think for artists and stuff, yeah, it will be. I feel sorry for them, because all their work, you can go to Midjourney and type, do it in the style of this artist who's alive, and then you can get an exactly replica of what they create, and they get nothing for it. So I think the IP around it and copyright and all that sort of stuff will be.
Yeah, the IP is going to be gone for sure.
Yeah, I think it's already gone. Like, they've already sucked it up, and there's no. But even for companies, in SEO with the AI search overview now, those clicks used to go to the website from an article they've created. Now the AI search overview takes that and shows it, and there's no click to the brand's website.
We weren't paying for SEO anyway, were we?
What's that?
I mean, it's a free thing. I mean, yeah, I guess because it can be quite overwhelming. So I feel like even just overwhelmed sitting here talking about, we can do this, we can do that. And the people watching this probably thinking, well, where do I even actually start? If I'm just, if I own, if I own a franchise or I run a small business, what is the one thing, because you've mentioned a few things, newsletters, sheets and things like that. What's the one thing that just an average business owner really can implement that's going to drive a big impact to their revenue? Like, whether it be whatever you think.
I think, as a business strategist, there's some really good prompts I've come across where you can get it to, like we're talking like this long, to act like a really high level business consultant or business strategist, and you can interact with it and get to ask you questions about your business, and it'll give you really good answers. And I think as a business strategist, and ideas, I think is a really good thing for the average business owner as well. The business owners, you don't need AI masterclasses. What I recommend is you go to the OpenAI Learning, which they've released a thing. It's really basic video concepts of how to prompt and act as this and act as that. And anyone can understand that sort of stuff as well. And then just start playing around with it. But I think once they play around with it and start finding a use case that actually helps them to do something as opposed to doing it manually before, that could be a bunch of different things. It could be just create a social media graphic. It could be give me a 30-day marketing plan, act as a business coach, these sorts of things. And if they find they get valuable information from that, whereas they wouldn't have got that before from an outside source, that's how I'd start recommending they're using it. But I think as a strategy thing, it does a really good job, especially with deep research now, whether in Gemini 2.5 or ChatGPT, you get some really good insights. So we had this issue the other day with our mowing guys, and we have leads down from last year for mowing. A lot of it's weather effective as well, but practically everyone has different opinions on why is it down. It's the economy, this and that. So what I did is I took the unserviced lead report from 2025 to 2024 to 2025, enabled deep research and say, act as an economist, look at our unserviced lead reports, take into account weather factors, this and that, blah, 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 blah. Why are our leads down by 20% compared to last year? And it gave me a deep research report of 20 pages of all the possible reasons why, with proper sources and stuff, like from ABS data, economics data, all that sort of stuff. And it gave us really good output. So then the franchisor group had a look at that, and that sort of counteracted a few things that were being said, or better beliefs they had about why leads were down, using actual data and insights, cross-reference to our report, and then in a way, it's explained in a way that anyone can understand. So that's one example of a business use case.
Don't hire a business consultant. Just, they're going to use AI now.
Yeah, all the coaches that coach others how to coach, or in our space, there's so many agency owners coach agency owners.
Yeah. I'll tell you what,
it's all gonna be gone.
I'll tell you what I did the other day. I love that Matt LeCave guy on LinkedIn. Yeah. So I used GenSpark, which is an AI agent. Yeah. And I said, go to Matt LeCave's channel.
Shout out Matt LeCave.
Yeah, he's great. I said, go to Matt LeCave's channel, and I said, watch his videos. And it has the capacity to watch around 9 at a time. So I put into it around, I think I put into 27 videos, and I said, give me a high-level strategy document, all Matt LeCave's LinkedIn strategies, this and that. Yeah. It gave me an awesome research document, which he probably charges a fortune for in his course. Sure. But that's, consultants and things like that. Yeah.
Well, the interesting thing that now that we've really brought up, we've let the cat out of the bag, Matt LeCave. I actually tried to have a conversation with him, a phone call, but he said, no, I don't do phone calls.
Yes.
We only do WhatsApp. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that's another thing. And honestly, I felt like I didn't actually know if I was talking to Matt or he had integrated AI with his WhatsApp. So, I mean, that's the other thing. Where is this heading now with obviously with gyms, where it's more of a personalized approach. You're calling up, you're speaking to someone real. Do we think that, in 10 years' time, that this is just all going to be SMS, WhatsApp?
I hope not. And I think if it goes that way, and you're a business that it can offer actual face-to-face interaction or an in-person interaction or online in-person interaction, you're going to charge a lot more and get paid a lot more. Yeah. That's what I sort of think. I think people will push back a bit about AI with that sort of stuff, like they did with the overseas call centers. I remember Jim told you, I think he told you that story about the CBA or something like that, his experience with the CBA. I think it'll be the same thing with AI. People will get sick of, talking to agents or to robots or to AI and service, and they'll pay more or expect companies to actually have humans. So I think it's going to do the same sort of thing. Yeah. Everything is going to go AI. So companies are going to strip themselves bare to AI agents and all these sorts of things as much as they can. And then I think they will realize that you do need to have humans talking to humans and all that sort of stuff. And I reckon you're going to get a big contraction because of AI, but then you're going to get a outward new roles created, which are way more human, face-to-face, and different types of roles as well that are more important.
And more is going to be like the skill set of like, how can you combine AI in specific ways? Like, how can you more of a consultant around that? So that's where I see it going towards that as well, whereas there's just like a person, it's not just like random consultant, but they can create like systems and operations around AI and how to integrate that to solve a specific problem.
Well, I think that, it's a big market at the moment where you've got a lot of people selling AI consultancy, and they're coming in making a whole bunch of make automations or whatever it is. But it's a massive market, and there's always some massive startups that got a heap of funding to do exactly that. Basically you probably have maybe a couple of years you have a team of AI agents for yourself. So you have your social media agent, or you have your your backlink agent or whatever you do, and it goes off and does its thing, and it still needs some intervention here and there. Yeah. But I think a lot of organizations will have, they're already doing it. They're trying to develop agents which companies can buy to do these repetitive tasks like sales calls and stuff like that, and companies will get them, and someone will have to come and plug it into the business and refine it. But that's where it's definitely going to go. But I think we'll go too far, and I think we're going to get go back the other way.
Well, can you, just for the people watching this, because I mean, I'm familiar with an AI agent, and I know you've introduced, I think it's Manus AI. Can you just explain, just in brief terminology, like what is an AI agent?
So basically, if people are familiar with Zapier or Make or something like that, you have to let's say like Bob the plumber. Bob the plumber.
You're talking agents?
Yeah. So it's basically, you can give it a command or a prompt, and it will go out and do all the thinking and all the relevant stuff that it needs to do without you having to tell it more. and give you an output based on that. It's a really bad explanation. I've got to think about how to explain it better. But for people who know a little bit about it, so there's a tool called Zapier which can automate workflows. So for example, if a new lead comes in, you want the new lead to go here, to go here, to go here, and you have to logically lay out the steps for Zapier. If one of those steps breaks, the whole thing doesn't work. Whereas with an agent, you can tell the agent up here, I want it to do this, this, and this, and this, and then it'll figure out the steps. You don't have to get involved with it, and then it'll do the task for you. So a great example of this is if you might have a slide presentation and go, I want you to create a 12-page slide deck on what SEO is, then that's all you need to tell it. And then it'll go search the web, we'll go search all the websites to find out what SEO is, and it'll start constructing the slides for you one by one by one. Yeah. Then after 5 minutes, you'll get an output for it. So that's what an agent is. So it will do what you want based on a prompt. It'll figure everything out and then give you the prompt at the end of it.
Well, that's what on your LinkedIn post I was watching you run these AI agents. And it's like you can have the interesting thing that I was thinking about watching you on that video is that you can run 5, 10, 20 of these agents simultaneously. So it's really like having your own online workforce, and when people, consider that, hey, like, one day there's going to be an AI doing your grass, mowing your grass, right? It's almost like that's happening now just in the digital world. You've got basically 10 AIs working for you.
Yeah, you can. It's expensive though. So there's two at the moment. So Manus is the one which blew up online and people were paying $2,000 to get a referral code to Manus and stuff. It was pretty hyped. Yeah. And I think it was around $60 US. And I think it did me around 8 tasks complete for $60 US. Whereas the other one, GenSpark, I use is far cheaper and it can do exactly the same thing. Yeah. But yeah, you can. Like it's quite remarkable what these things can do. Like another good example is we had a franchisor who had a problem about they want to find the best email solution to send emails on behalf of their franchisees, which has got like 180, and keep it cost effective. And your traditional thing would be, all right, MailChimp, Klaviyo, these sorts of big name players. Ask the agent to do it based on the business scenario. And it gave me completely different recommendations with reasons why, and it does the full research on all those different players, and gave me three outputs, which I would never have thought of, which would have saved the business thousands of dollars because they would have traditionally went with MailChimp or whatever. So that's a really good use case for them as well. But I think, agents you're going to have an agent for everything. And it's already happening at the moment. You've got companies who are getting a lot of seed round funding who are just customer service agents, all social media agents, marketing agents, all these sorts of things as well. It's moving at a really quick pace. But yeah, I'd definitely recommend anyone playing around with them. It's quite amazing. Like SEO audit on our website, I've got to do an SEO audit on gyms.net. Then I got to make it into a single page web page with the findings. And I think the findings were pretty good. Like it was pretty accurate with what it said. So
bad of a job.
Nah.
So it's pretty.
See,
someone's got to fix those things though. Found all these problems. So
someone's coming here to see SEO, but you've already hired the
No. It did an audit, but it needs someone to fix the actual. Needs someone to fix it.
Oh no.
What
are we gonna do?
But from an audit point of view, it did an audit, and I have to show it to you, and you can see what you think.
Yeah.
But someone has to fix the problems it found all the problems. But yeah, I just thought it's remarkable in what it can do, and it's amazing that it's still extremely early days as well. But the agent sort of space is, I think if people just get Manus or get GenSpark and try it, even the slide deck presentation, like I hated making presentations with slides. I used to get asked to do talks all the time. I'm sure you've done talks and presentations. I don't mind doing the talking, but I was up to 11 o'clock at night or 12 o'clock at night doing a 3-hour slide deck because I've got to manually get this and this and this. What I can do now is I can literally dictate use the voice in Google Docs. I can talk about my talk free fall. Then I can take that, put it into ChatGPT to then rework it into a slide deck format. I then take that and put it into Manus or GenSpark and say, now convert this into a slide deck. And it'll do a really good job. And then I might need to tweak it with some images that I want or maybe a video link here or there. And that's a 5-minute exercise now. So
I think that the biggest thing that you've helped me understand and realize is that there's really no excuses for anyone anymore, because from what I've learned, I signed up for the Manus tool.
Yeah,
was that
what do you think?
Yeah, it was incredible. And if you're just a new tradie or you're a kid out of high school, you want to run a project, you can use that tool and you can literally, at least you can start something. You can start a website. It'll do this, it'll do that, and you don't need to pay anyone, even just to get off the ground. You know, so for people that are thinking, oh, it's, you know, I don't know this, I don't have a degree, I can't do it. You don't. It will basically be able to do it for you.
What Cos said before was spot on. If you've got that creative idea, you can now build it with these things.
Yeah.
You know, if you've got that creative idea to do an MVP, and you can use the node code tools like Replit and stuff like that, and Bolt and these sorts of things, and you can get it done like that. But yeah, if you're a tradie, and you can literally use Manus to make you a one-page website really quickly, or landing page or something like that, and it does a really good job. And it's only early days as well, so it's going to be quite amazing what people can do.
Awesome.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Joel, for walking us through all the exciting AI tools and sharing your personal story and how you've grown at Jim's Mowing. Has been an incredible talk. Thank you so much.
Well, thanks for coming out. And
look forward to do another one very soon.
Yeah,
we're going to tee up the next one.
Well, thanks for coming out. I appreciate your interest. And I don't get asked to do interviews very much, so I'm always very appreciative that you took interest in what we do here. So yeah, thank you.
Before we end, if people want to, you know, inquire or they want to learn, especially what you're doing, because I think it's incredible. You know, where can they find all your AI, or if they, I think that because that's what you're focusing on. Or from what I see at the moment.
I need to. Well, I actually enjoy it. So, you know, if I was going to, I'm doubling down on LinkedIn at the moment. So LinkedIn's where I'm probably posting the most.
Yeah.
But I should take those videos and put them on YouTube and do a bit more effort into them. But LinkedIn at the moment, I'll do, you know, tutorial every couple of weeks. And I've got a newsletter called Franchise Marketer where I'll put the tutorials like how to make the music videos and things like that. I'll put into there. But yeah, that's probably there. LinkedIn's probably the main one at the moment.
LinkedIn and the newsletter, because it's amazing stuff. And honestly, that's why I really appreciate your time today, because I've learned so much out of it. And thank you so much.
No, thanks, guys.
Thank you.